okayfm 101.7.
Good morning, Kwame.
That is say,
Yamiadum, Namuze.
yes, young Bokopa. When you about one channel pay, me beji additional crania kakra.
Okay.
Special prosecutor. Martin Amidu, ebai. Alamisi Ben Kaiser Amidu, ebai. And no, the Korea, dear. Yenim said the city. And now, actually, Yerakisi Ajabin, Edibaye. Now, yenim say, ye was special prosecutor actor. And I'm so at the office of the special prosecutor, no, ebaye. Na watch a juma ni adia obetumi de ontumi enu de obetumi na ekoba ni saying na papa ese according to now press conference no ese nipa bi frustrating one otie ne nsem no kan na du baabi nipa bi a wo de abakọ to say nipa no ni sika no yen sizi na afei yen wiwem so wontimi sizi do baby sika we so kofa ho dance bra are we not frustrating the special prosecutor and in the office no as a nation?
But as you come in, my minister with you for you and I'm free. No cry woman say, so Ubi says, are we not frustrating? How do you mean? Who are the reference being made to here?
Maybe
are you referring to young Ghana for you now? What is it? And you see, for the special prosecutor to hold this press conference, I've made this point that he talks more than he works. What is it?
Oh, sir.
And that is the center of the problem. You see, the man is engaged in more PR than actually doing his work. Because that press conference now, no. It was unnecessary, especially the pronouncements are during the press conference. Very unnecessary. One after the other. Maybe kind to create this impression, say there is some grand conspiracy by the judiciary against you. It's objectionable, to say the very least. What was here? Say, would the judges one or more a camia say or marble mutumo pose would the neodibaco be on the first two? Meaning, I want to not Ghana and your age, my year now, the quad, ever bound so. What in your dear? And man, a dear Juma. What's not Ghana, your way, Juma, now to so near my year. Look, the name of the game in law, evidence, any procedure. What is here? The man more coins are between us is in Obisica, a person under investigation. Now, one fat procedure, no 3 years, who quite ever bound so, and found. They are special prosecutor and found class judge, wants to fight corruption.
But that to the extent to say, court not prohibiting say case be or you can't won't be investigate.
Meaning saying your case be special prosecutor act, no. A man to me so bit investigate. Me boy.
No correct.
And this audio who go and I know me can say, was the audio work or lands me. This is state lands or no very him.
Serbia a corruption related issues
state lands. Young fan say somebody generally acquires state lands. Who go and saying and I payroll fraud or can once a me. Me see cases are hidden in him growing and a payroll fraud is fraud and fraud. CID4 and other offices view are almost me ASI investigations. What do you have the cow where you mount? And sometimes he's straight into arenas and then fully directly within his jurisdiction. And so we are now according to our interpretation of the action, where the and where like it doesn't fall within your remit. And we need to miss over more investigations are. I mean, when you caught in if you feel strongly about that, and you feel not bad.
Sure. You go to
come and tell us that there is this conspiracy against you. Me see on one casa things that fall within his jurisdiction or see encounter. Influence peddling. If you have an MP, we are influence peddling is a form of corruption. But on all see it's not a form of corruption.
My dear we see you. Waba ye 2 years in 4 cases are on trial and prosecution cry close one case. Afei ba kokora okosizi ye ma Mrs. Adapa for investigations or charging say want me and declare the property ni income as demanded by the OSP. Ni nyina nya djuma ni bia no.
You see, we are looking for outcomes. We are looking for results.
Yeah, Dana Woka Kramami, what I want.
This is the case that he successfully. You can say, assume it's convicted the work of the OSP. I think I couldn't agree, but when Dim couldn't. And that he has practiced all to the end. And we pass the Uko, we offend attention.
Aye, Miniatic, Unya ye, mammy. Why? Na yen trade ne line no emu ye twi ye twi pa ye bo modern say yensa ebeka no na fe yatoa enkomo no so nemom tie imboost herbal mixture police ni aduru a wonum a e boost immune system no na immune system no timi aye dwuma akote ya re bi pese eba mu ana se ewo mu dada say immune system no form a immune system no woni padua no mu wonum aduru bi enko enti me kanfo imboost herbal mixture so you free aduru ni dia dey police ni aduru say ulcer, stroke, waist pains, fatigue, malaria, liver, any kidney problems no patronum imboost herbal mixture say imboost herbal mixture police ni aduru no ye dey share box mu pharmacy herbal shop bia benya bia to afei wo a wonyare no so no pebi nanom na boost immune system ti da bia na ho den eko adwuma so gi number is wo pebi ato atu ana wo pebi upemu atia 0540 710113 0540 710113 0540 710113. Okay, 101.7 so any emu kate okay emu ye afa yenko yento ankomo no so ba to meet you
Kwame
na obi bebi sase OSP Torenko deal no take over of contract tema oil refinery dey na make wo mo shase commence corruption risk investigations into that stop contract no eno e buy okay MCE nominee for Dwabin Ashanti and also buying vote won confirmation election no video ni nyina ba ye eni ade enya adwuma bia no oyi
hello Kwame
mesi nya adwuma bia no oyi
oh adwuma ni you see enter me can say Yami can say, the OSP no, a tunable a nejuma, the OSP no tunable a nejuma. Minyasho say, Asema over actually the judiciary of being, biased and not conspiring against him. What was here? Look, and yeah or no, why court that before it became OSP, no taco court. Maybe why?
Annie.
Oko court, no, none the cases in Nana and the demand.
There be
saying this. There's no lawyer between the cases I mean my na and ye be ample injunction application at one point or the other cry which you reject and I refuse. Even if you win your substantive cases in Crampona, there would be some BBB at some point, judges make us say or money when judging. Let's say if it happens, would I say it should be you. If it happens there, would you could be Semka, Nodi Kobia, and Asama Wukan, and yes, Una Winya, he has never taken responsibility. There be judges, no. What has he? Eto Bizan who said, what is it that I'm doing wrong? Look, on Tinafakuno Yenejuma. On Tinafakuno Yenejuma. No, look, and when Martin Hamidu was named, when Martin Hamidu was named the special prosecutor, Eddie who be by Uncle Fubimu. In fact, Ghana for you now, everyone said, this is going to be a new dispensation. Ignore the frustrations of resource allocation or go through for which reason he says, look, Obeko. But other than that, none of you papa, and he never at any point in time complains the judiciary and our judge.
He was only interested in the stricken epistles.
No. Obey a special prosecutor, he wasn't writing epistles. No, Juma. What was here? And the point I'm seeking to make is that when a special prosecutor, where Juma is clearly cut out for you. And you need to dedicate yourself, you need to apply yourself to a Juma na amount. For me, I think it's an indictment on that officer. Since Omobile, they've not been able to secure any conviction. Because answer and obey investigation, there should be some prima facie inspiration B that would lead you to say that this is a case that is worth investigating.
Yes.
Now, who investigate you are, and so making sure that investigations are mommy enough evidence to proceed to court. He's a lawyer. Why is a junior associate? Why is Jumanache? To the extent that Onukra is a partner in the firm and son obey USP. And the answer obey proceedings.
Yes. And I watch the criminal law swatch power.
But that even strengthens the case. And the answer obey court no. Obi a watch the criminal law. And I just say, when it comes to criminal prosecution, the evidence has to be rock solid. And the answer obey court no. The assumption is that he is convinced that the evidence is rock solid. But so when you proceed, you should be able at least at least one conviction Christ should have been able to secure for us. Knowing very well, say answer or he was very sure say he had rock solid evidence. But have you heard say this for pay by was secure conviction that?
There be secure conviction that. No.
Exactly. Let's say secure conviction. You are not blaming yourself. You are not blaming your ineptitude. Because look, all the cases, one thing can tell me say he proceeded to court knowing very well say now our weak evidence. Because Obeko as a criminal prosecutor, as a criminal lawyer, and you've just added criminal law. He knows how evidence is weighed.
But some Raman can say issues be a while. Say you place sanctions be here and there, after which will be go into investigation to establish facts of the matter, no evidence to me about.
Now, it is an okay. They will be called and then evidence. Investigation is not to me. No, I won't pass one thing. You don't just why? Please for cry. You see,
Sabia, my Mrs. Lada Paddy say so. Court to say says Cano. Court me and Fansan to so. O man, crime and Fansan to not one investigation.
No, none most are quite, but he came the wrong way. That's why they refused the application. No. What does here? And a lot of lawyers spoke to it. Umbrano is very clear on what to do. So procedure and confiscation of assets pending trial. No. That is very clear what you need to do. But the one in Sana Ukona, you see, Umbrano mouth to me now. You don't blame the judge, you blame you and Krofua on your Muyejumano.
Now, what do you say?
We need to start demanding the list of Krofua on your Muyejumano. And so I think it's a problem. Because if you, as the head of the office, cases no we should not just be blaming on Unkwa, we should also be looking into Krofua recruiting. Has he recruited an incompetent bunch? Until now, one with investigations and prosecution. What was here? So it's been terminated here, and also, and I'm beginning to feel that. Look, to the extent that he was blaming the judiciary and not honoring the office for no. I think that this is a symptom of incompetence.
That might be listen to the me breast one.
look, this is it's an important officer. Yet here for a special reason.
Now, and I think maybe he ran to the court of public opinion. Said yeah, another way, and who said there or the report to ba near ya can people the why the oya could do near the idea. Now, hey, you know, ebia or feel say, amount for Muntium you, cases in the medical do quarter now. I do the phone why you say it amount for Muntium, Yamna, and also Nakabone.
My question is,
the question is, say, he ran to the court of public opinion. Maybe he's of the view, say, Mimra na me kancho manfo any abanya any Ghana for a media shaman sase. Asam me yire me hu se me yo. Me kwaduru court a na akobo apem. No masada mechi. Asama media be kwa court say there be nipa untimi nyese. Enti say na amane ami hunu no. Sa an ko boni room.
Wame, if everybody were to be trying their cases in the court of public opinion, I think there would be no need for courts.
There be.
And Sebi, public opinion court there, lawyers were you don't need to be a lawyer to be able to try cases in the court of public opinion. What I say, and the Angayango, you know, say, or a lawyer, I think I'll grab it to the work of Amanayi. Who are them tracing how to deal with public media and public opinion? And you'll be better fit than or no. But because cases really in public opinion court, Munti and AU. So what are you trying to do? To set the public against the judiciary and set the judiciary against the public. What me do want me to here? And you see, going forward, I think that this man must be made to either he resigns or there should be a petition to get him removed. What do you mean, Mikasa? And he said, the stance are fully. How do you think he's going to fare in court going forward? Because already you've accused and stigmatized the court as being biased against you.
But and comments are free and facts are sacred.
Okay.
Comments are free and facts are sacred.
Absolutely. And if you start accusing the people you appear before, no say, oh, we must the answer and how do you think you are going to fare going forward in the court? Because the very people that you appear before, they are the ones you are accusing, say, they are frustrating you. And that I said there is this grand conspiracy against you. Sabi, you are not the first OSP. We've had an occupant of that office before. What was here? And you should, I think, sir, it's about time, I say, my call that office, and because of our collective desire to fight corruption, I'm going to say, oh, Ghana for detest corruption. And the man made my Ukraine. Let me bet me this one more a bimwa Ghana for Bejatum. Because we collectively we hate the concept and idea of corruption. And in your but I think that he's hiding behind all of these to provide excuses for his ineptitude. And that cannot be tolerated. There's no room for incompetence. There's no room for such needless lamentations. Lamentations here. Ghana for be a specialist in lamentations. Yours is to give us results, outcomes. And nothing I do call. And if you have failed to do so since you became the special prosecutor now, I strongly say the view say he should not continue to be in office. This see what he say, or backward swat now, no bit and the other two I say, I want to secure convictions to you. Now, so, of course, to Kasana, you draw salaries and all the privileges that come with the office. What in Casa, Papa, Radin Kupo, Obi, the man is living like an Arabian king.
Kabe.
Casa, the budget is sent to the Ministry of Finance in respect of Casa.
Because I did Mimi Quadeka, Omenia, Cas and a cast ring able to proof because
I think then I'll tell you, I should be moving with robots as security men. They just hived off small part of the power is for you.
But
corruption related offenses.
So, what?
Obi or try murderers, Obi or try all kinds of criminals.
But so I'm Sabia. Ebia amika na mehu se bia so ya for be 4 pe bi na bia prosi for be 2 as a 3 bi nipa be 7 bi na bo ne ho ban
special prosecutor uko na ko kasa army onu go use army
yeah
you see, the man wants to live like an Arabian king
Dadio work no e demand
me guy work ben me say attorney general cry you and thank attorney general he should be living the CDS should be his bodyguard. Because the
Chief of Defense Staff, no. Hey.
Because the mother, you see, he tries criminals, armed robbers. Every criminal possible. He's the one who deals with them. Onugra is not necessary. They should give him the kinds of cars that pay. Demand luxury and security built cars. He's not demanding those. Now, with small powers, they amount to help us fight corruption. Look, if you are living like this, how do you fight corruption? Obia who is living like an Arabian king, how does he fight corruption?
I'm not
surprised we are not getting results.
But he's not
live like the Sultan of Brunei.
Ah, wow. But Papa, no, say at least, he has not been abdicating his responsibility as a special prosecutor.
Hello?
Messi was no abdicating his responsibility as a special prosecutor. Oguso
Hello?
What do you mean, guy? I want the one name to the hard year, mammy. Eh, hello. My friend, man, I'm in you. Loyalty. Aha. Now, special prosecutor. Now, Bakwa, Abe Piemuni say. Honorable Bambabe. Was it in here?
Sir?
Was it a Juma warrior? As overlap attorney general.
And do I swing the
prosecutorial powers and also
attorney general.
And now almost be a post phone to woman because Nipan watching why I caught one had but to any special and say, according to the yo, Honorable
Atik as I
na me make sure say he's not abdicating his responsibility as a special prosecutor. Now say kura no tim say otimi ko US now oni FBI akohia over certain issues bi e organ ha ni nyina no mu hwem no mo ko waka isi ada pa case no okọ abrochire eni abrofo no ekohia eni mu ne ade
busybody adwuma yi kwame busybody adwuma ne de weni ma honya akonto nko aka no eno wo South Africa o chuno wo China wo be masa adwuma no wonya ya woni bi FBI for mu go ede
ona otie mu bia
it's because of the oil in Tina. People are intensifying their calls for the scrapping of that office. This is an important office when it comes to the fight against corruption. And Yejitum, like I said, say for the Attorney General, who doubles as the Minister for Justice, to try on one call is Mayor heading. And Tina can say, or be independent, to help the Attorney General in the fight against corruption. And it is clear what the mandate of the OSP is. To fight corruption and corruption to investigate. And
Baba, obisi yendi couple in the office no from the Attorney General's onten hunye nedjuma. Obisi yendi couple in the office of the Special Prosecutor no every Attorney General's department no.
Oh, how? The man is independent. He can try the cases. And today, yendi couple dem be no pen. In this country, the power to prosecute is vested in the Attorney General. And it is all PBDA action to hive off some of the powers and give them to you. The Attorney General is not interfering in your work. What else is he looking for? What are there? And because the likes of Right Honorable Alban Sumana of Kingsford Bagman, I can say, if he gave us a result, me sure it would calm people. And it would dwarf these costs amount for a year with respect to the closure of that office, no. Because even me, if I look at what is going on, Sika already come, Kasa, not me the to Juma as well, you know, and your closure and America am close to. What is here? And I think this is look, the office is very important. But the occupants of that office, no, the occupant, my main cancer, has not given us a reason to want to continue that office, no.
I'm not for raising argument to be said. I'm not for raising argument to say you appoint a special prosecutor. Now, what could a quasi board be? Not board to regulate him. It will be a nice what you say is a good. And not a
you see, I say this conversation should be situated in the context. And the board, has the board frustrated me in any way? Or Marcus said, what is why Indianga? Because they do procurement, they do recruitment, they do other things. Administrative. You need a board to help you in that regard. What is here? And see, I don't see why having a board. Indianga is the alpha and the omega. Obie Nua Obebuano to guide what he does. Inja be 2 minutes the envan in Nanjin. Envan in Nanjin in Zim, you. Nanga dini na go shin Zim dia. Zanga office in the Ebekulusu. Media, I think it's about time, Ghana, for let's divorce emotions from the conversation. Now, frankly and objectively, why Juma so far why anything? We need to audit his works. What is here? And it should not just be enough to say, oh, now we detest corruption. And we should not be asking questions about our office. No. And no, to do that which is not right by Ghana for no. But if we begin to audit that office and the work they do, it's very important. How do they go about their investigation? What is here? Because look,
there should be a complete audit on him as well.
Do an audit. We ought to do, because so far, if his complaint is there, Nejumano is being frustrated, and because he knows the Ghana are getting impatient because he's not giving us the results. Now, officer or I think we deserve to do an audit to find out what really is the reason. What is yes? Now, like I said, and also there is an incompetent group of people or in investigations. The audit might reveal that.
Okay.
What was here? And you see, this desire to fight corruption, the one you think is fighting corruption might become a culprit, but because we collectively feel we blind ourselves to some of these things, and that is even more dangerous than the very concept of corruption. Look, it is likely people who are involved in the fight against corruption, sometimes some of them end up becoming corrupt. That's a possibility. What you are here? Whoever is tasked with the responsibility to fight corruption, or so above all. And an audit is important from time to time. Every audit look to me are revealing some of the weaknesses, structural weaknesses are office no are to me abua. A bit to me so are revealing personal weakness, like the technical weakness. Or more competence is very important because you can't continue to be losing cases. You are emboldening the Commission of Acts of Corruption. And me, so I think, sir, it's also very important. What did you know? I said, corruption and kata. What offenses actually constitute corruption? Because me doing one in tears here, and if there's a need to even amend the act, to make specific provisions to capture areas that are not captured in a criminal act, in a criminal and other offenses act, Because, for example, he says, when he did the investigation on Ura Eduwahin, he admitted he found a case of influence peddling, but no corruption. And influence peddling, I have spam yantichi. It was a case of influence peddling. That was considered to be corruption. Yanka said, he was engaged in bribe, and it was influence peddling. Okase was present in his packet. That's influence peddling. And too, and we accuse him of being corrupt. Everywhere in the world, that. Look, one of the 7 sources and forms of corruption. Influence peddling, extortion, but to the extent, Eduwa in case, there was a case of extortion, there was a case of influence peddling. Or see, in corruption, don't even proceed to prosecute. Now we're sorry, I was if judge the frustrate you. I think there's the need for an audit. And me, I come in Quadia, and there should be a way. Look, a petition must emerge calling for the head of the OSC. Because the Anyan Sana, or see on the no truka, game yan or bebo, Nimresu and Oko. Mother, we can't continue to tolerate, we can't suffer this truka for another 5 years. 7 and mandate 7 years, me boy. So far, I have how many years?
Why 2 years?
5 more years for this truka. Hey, Mother, Debbie. Always, Mother, the human who's there. I think the honorable thing to do is to resign. But today, there would be a because why truka because nobody can know ye, which in our view, and so any. Also because why you all yet that no, Nimresu and Oko. Hey, let's just say Nimresu and convict you of BIU. Now, office no, yes, and I say by. We can't waste resources without getting the needed and deserved outcomes. The media is about time. So, Nwankasa, if he feels the judicial cry M1, as he has indicated, no, the noble thing to do is to walk off. What I say? Now, if he's not willing, there should be an arrangement because look, Mrano says you can only fire him. You can petition for his removal on grounds of incompetence. And I think that now,
Mami Musa question was so. The same office of the special prosecutor, Matami do call you or complaining. Where so by him, they say,
Martinami do complaints, they were, I think, systemic in the sense that there was a new structure.
Sure.
And see, he was complaining more about resource allocation. He was not complaining to Okokota frustrating. He was not complaining. He was, but Kizakdemi hasn't complained about the fact that he doesn't have the needed resources. Ubrauka said on the military and a cast or the Namzen Yakaskitua. Martinami didn't have that. And which means there's an improvement in the allocation of resources to that office.
Oh, but what do you say? What office order?
Master, it is huge. I've been there before.
Now, once I
military for
office one, Bibi said, Kunya Kurane Bino. Bibi said, Gadgets Nibino, and on one to that
office. More office in Libya. A lot of brand new chairs are yet to you see. They are there spoiling.
Then you are almost setting
there before.
Something almost setting at the end up.
Me see. Your question is, are they getting resources or not?
They are getting it, but maybe woefully not enough.
Amidu's complaint was that more they needed resources to set the office up. Is it the same complaint Kisia Jabin has?
Maybe about committee and him so kaya compensation, remuneration, na nimu zero. And busa womu ye data in my but finance and releases kama womu. It was no crown bear over 1 year in Trianica.
Look, the way this guy is living in Trianica, over there, Muman can cry until he's there in over in Trianica.
Ah, where?
An audit would reveal all these things. Say, is the person getting the resource, like remuneration, for example? Compensation, they are very important. And if an audit is done, they will say, then we want, look, we are in this to make sure that we win the fight. If we have to hold government responsible, we do it. And we can only do that if an audit is conducted on their operations. They will say, Abaying starves them of resources. And also, Kahuna, study investigations.
Minya Samuel Brian Wabing till they watch you. They can't fight corruption because they themselves are corrupt. William Kizakdemi focuses.
Because sometimes, and you'll be and you also for
I was it.
Sometimes, Nipana, you've given the task to fight corruption. One day you cry now. Could be an agent of corruption. I'm not suggesting he is.
No,
but I'm not saying it's a possibility.
He's solely focused on luxury cars and diplomatic passport. A cat is not suited to guard a fish. He now resign or be impeached. Samuel Brian Wabing Was please, wait a minute to me, what am the account? But it does.
I'm not saying he's corrupt, but I'm saying, sir, look, sometimes it is not everybody's task with the responsibility to fight corruption, and they're committed to the fight. What is here? And the Magana for engine say, once you do be a cohonum, no, Nippon is trouble for. Maybe there may be demons working against the Anipano. Look. The demons and principalities of corruption there, and we are doing dodo. Because look, many sometimes the person gets possessed by these demons and principalities of corruption. And the also when one of the no what do you know? He gets possessed. If his commitment ain't yet that deep enough. And the person, look, what is material? I mean, these are moved by material things. Man, the bicycle crowd, but when you have somebody who wants to live like the Sultan of Brunei, it gives it gives cause for concern.
I see.
Especially if we are not getting the kinds of results I hear. But I think, sir, to the extent that Onunyoka, he has admitted vulnerability, he has shown despair. As far as Benjamin goes here, there's no way I can ever win because now there is this conspiracy against me by judges.
Does it mean I'm to be a man?
Okay, because the very people you seek to appear before, you've demonized them.
But maybe our cancer so that they will sit up.
You have cast this kind of aspersion on the reputation of all judges you have appeared before. And you say that you want them to sit up. Is that how you call it? Invite them to sit up. The way you invite people in the judicial system to sit up, and it's a judgment that you think is flawed, you move up. Let them tell him, say, that is how you invite them to sit up. But you don't invite them to sit up by holding press conferences and tagging them as saboteurs and Krofua who are seeking to deepen the culture of corruption by their rulings are omodimau. Look, this thing is becoming a huge albatross around our necks. And it's about time we dealt with it in a way we should get the outcomes. Otherwise, Badwin call is just the first. Many more of such will come because and for me, it will be a sad and unfortunate situation if we end up scrapping that office. Because Nipana and Ankrofona they are not doing that which is giving us the deserved results. The young Kotia almost you and your more name judges no. How then do you proceed from here? From Ombede Akoswako court. Those what they do corrupt and saboteurs, they are not helping your cause. The fact that you are
did you use the word saboteurs? Or use the word saboteurs? Or use the word saboteurs?
That's the implication of what he said.
Okay.
So they are sabotaging his works. What was here? And I think this is very sad development, indeed. And I would be pained if because of Niekoswi, the cause for the closure of that office intensify. Because
Bambabin are raising sub-speaker while raising that issue. The secretion of the OSP is an act in futility.
Wow, because what are the outcomes to show? What are the results to show for the kind of objectives that we had before setting up our office? No? You see, Machiavelli always said this in his Prince, the Prince, or see, the end justifies the means. And see, Nanka, a Jumana edition in Semino, for all the naysayers, Nejumana and Quebec say, indeed, it wasn't an action and an act in futility. But now you are giving them a reason to actually, emphasize the fact that was a futile exercise. And I am sad. Say this is where we have got to.
Okay.
We need to sit up, and politicians. So Mr. Wade, dear, and your political game. Oh, yeah, and I may be Musu, one or so. Munkanu can intend and oh, yeah, and Yano. But because it creates the impression, say, Abaya Otisono is frustrating him. Oh, politically it sounds good. But can one say, oh, even if you come, if 2025 there's a new government, you will be coming to meet him. And if we don't tell him the hard truths today, do the necessary man ways, move on, and you would have similar situation. This is not a matter anybody would profit politically from. We want our institutions to work and work well for us. We any partisanship, any party, winning party. Women can create for once. Let's collectively demand better performance from our OSP. Let us demand accountability from him, because he did not hold people accountable. He himself should not be above the standards of the requirements of accountability.
Mami na wasa no pay.
Mr. Kwame.
Mr. I'll say Yera Atik Mohammed any and common okay 101.7 so any
okayfm 101.7